Your greatest superpower isn't talent, it's choice. Every piece of art is the accumulation of several choices. If it's music, it's the tempo, it's the instruments and the sounds you choose, it's the vocal phrasing, it's the melody. If you're a filmmaker, it's the actors you cast, the way you tell the story, the pacing, the set design, the art direction. Those are all accumulation of choices. So the choices you make determine your artistic style. But here's the thing, it's not just about art, because I realize the entirety of life is exactly the same way. You are creating your life from every single choice that you make. And we don't normally think about life as being creative. People say I'm not creative, but actually every choice you make in your life is creating the reality you experience. So it's the people you choose to be intimate with. It's what you choose to take personally, what you choose to ignore. It's what you give your attention to. It's how you dress. All of these things are creating a certain vibrational field that is specific to you and your consciousness. So you don't choose everything that happens to you, but you do choose what you make it mean about you and your life, and then you choose how to respond to it. So life gives you the raw material, but then your choices make it into the reality that you're living. This is where your power comes in, because for the next step, it's all about responsibility, which for me is the ability to respond to what life throws at you. That's where the power of choice becomes the reality-making mechanism that determines your whole life. Now, in order to have a gap between being reactive and being consciously responsive, I personally employ meditation. I learned meditation from a teacher in LA like 6 years ago, and I've only missed maybe 5 days in that whole time because it made such a powerful impact on my life. When you choose to meditate, you're not trying to stop thinking. You're learning to be observant of your thoughts without being reactive. So that way in life, when you start to have an experience where you feel activated by it, you can observe those feelings without necessarily energizing them or identifying with them. If you're just reacting to everything that happens to you in life, then you're really being manipulated by your circumstances and you're actually in more of a victim reactive state. But the second you take your power back by increasing your responsibility, like I said, your ability to respond, then you become a creator again. So this is where art and life become the same thing, because every choice you make reveals something about what you value. I think the most powerful choice of values was when Jesus was on the cross and he knew what was happening was unjust, but he chose nonviolence when he could have got himself out of the situation, and he also chose forgiveness. So even though he was killed, his choice to practice forgiveness and love in the face of that sort of opposition and hate made his example echo throughout time. Now, a filmmaker or a songwriter choose what stories get to be told, how they get told, what are the key elements, what are the ways they're told, and those are all choices, like I said. So now you see the parallel between the choices you make and what you're communicating with the art piece that is your life. Your choices create the world that you see and the world that other people interact with. And your choices is how your inner world becomes visible. And if your choices are creating your life, then the deeper question is, who is making your choices? Or rather, what place inside of yourself are you making those choices from? Because we have more superficial layers that are more rooted in the ego, but then we have also a deeper layer of the self, the I am, which is the same force that animates every single human being. In the Bible, it says, before Abraham was, I am. And Jesus says, I am the way, the light, and the truth. And he's not talking about his physical incarnation. He's talking about the consciousness that he's connected to. Because the second coming of Christ is the alignment of everybody with that same frequency of consciousness and the unique embodiment that everyone is here to express. Because we're not here to be Jesus. You're here to be yourself. You're here to embody some of the same qualities that Jesus embodied, but you're a unique expression of divinity, because God is not looking to repeat himself and God is not past his prime, right? Not saying that God is a man or a woman. I'm just saying God has an infinite creative capacity. So all of us have the same potential to express that Jesus had, but we have a unique way of doing it. Think about it in terms of an athlete. Michael Jordan was something none of us have ever seen before, and he expanded what we thought was possible, and what he did was so balletic and beautiful. And then Kobe came along and did something similar, but he did it in his own way. So you can take inspiration from a specific source, but you're still a unique individuation and a unique expression of divinity. So you have to embrace what makes you unique, even if you are taking, inspiration from something that we all know and love. So in order to really create your most authentic reality, you have to understand who you really are, which is source, spirit, God consciousness. But you also have to understand what makes you unique. What is your unique story? And how does the source consciousness plus your uniqueness come alive to express something that will never be able to be expressed by anyone else in all of history, because you are perfectly unique. The deeper you know yourself, the more consciously you can create. But it's not just about knowing yourself, it's also about using a craft to express yourself. Because once you know your divinity and you're self-realized, then you have the process of self-actualization, which is becoming the being that can express the knowing and the ideas. It's like you may have a lot of ideas and a lot of songs in your mind, but can you sing well enough to express them in a beautiful way? Can you dance well enough to express them in a beautiful way? That takes time. That takes craft. So know that being a creator isn't about becoming more talented necessarily. It's about becoming more conscious of your choices and more deeply aligning your choices with your true eternal inner being. And you don't need to become Michael Jackson. You don't need to become Christopher Nolan. You need to be expressed as your authentic self. So the question is not if you are a creator, but what are you choosing to create with your one precious life? So here at Dharma Glow, I help people become self-realized and also self-actualized to express their unique creative gifts. So here at Dharma Glow, I help people become more self-realized and self-actualized so they can express their unique creative gifts. So if that's something that you feel called to do, and your soul is wanting to really express what you came here for, your uniqueness, your beauty, your brilliance, then check the links below and see how you can get tapped in. And I would love to connect with you. And if this resonates, you can watch the next video in this series and go deeper into what it means to live in creator consciousness. Peace and love.